Hi folks, and welcome back to the channel. Today I am here with my 2011 ML class Mercedes-Benz W164 chassis, and we are going to be doing a total coolant flush on this vehicle. Now the reason that we're doing this flush today is I've actually realised that this vehicle has the wrong coolant in it. As you can see here, it's actually got pink coolant in it, whereas the original coolant that would have been in this vehicle was a blue coloured coolant. It should have an MB325.0 specification coolant. So we're going to flush this out and we're going to put the correct specification of fluid back in this vehicle. So something that I've decided, folks, is that this is also going to be the first video in a new series that I'm going to call Front to Back. And in this series, I'm planning to replace every single fluid in this vehicle, starting at the front of the vehicle and working all the way to the back. So today we're going to be starting with the coolant, then probably the next we'll do the power steering, we'll get onto the engine, we'll do the brakes, and then we're going to go under the vehicle. We're going to start with the differential, transfer case, gearbox, and then by the end of the series, we will have worked our way all the way through to the rear differential. So if that's something you're interested in, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. But enough chatter for now, let's get into it. So safety precaution before we start this procedure. You really need to make sure the engine is cool before starting the procedure because you don't want to get any burns from hot coolant. So if you're unsure, leave it overnight before even starting. So first thing I'm going to do is undo the cap. As I said, I know this engine is very cool, and that's going to allow now the coolant to drain effectively. So to do this job, I've actually popped the car into the poor man's lift position. That is, I've raised the suspension with the airmatic suspension because they're going to be popping under the vehicle to drain that coolant. I've then removed that front underbelly tray that you can see there using a 10mm socket. So now I've just popped under the vehicle and you can see here we've got a drain plug here for the coolant, and we'll put a hose on that in a minute. And then we've got this screw here which we will undo to release the coolant from the bottom of that radiator. Now if you're looking at the vehicle from the front, that's actually on the right hand side, or if you're underneath like I am here looking forward, it's actually on the left hand side depending on what orientation you are at. All right, so I've just gone and got some hose here. This is actually an internal diameter of 8mm, and I'm just pushing that onto the outlet drain barb there, as you can see. That's probably good enough. And then we'll put the other end into a bucket and we will drain the coolant. All right, so as you can see, I've got a bucket here to catch the waste coolant because we just don't want to flush that down the drains. And we're gonna get our screwdriver in onto that screw, and we will release the coolant. And there we go. So we'll just let that drain now until it's completely empty. All right, so as you can see, that coolant has finished draining now. So what we're gonna do is pop our screwdriver in that valve and we'll just turn that clockwise until that's closed off. There we go, that's closed off now. So now we can refill it. So because this vehicle has had the wrong specification of coolant in it, I've actually gone out and bought several bottles of De-Mineralised water. And I've also bought a radiator flush and clean product here. And what my intention is I'm gonna fill it up now with De-Mineralised water. I'll put the radiator flush and clean in. I'll run the engine for somewhere between 20 minutes and 60 minutes. I'll then drain all of that. And my intention is actually to refill it with De-Mineralised water, run it, and I'll drain it. I'll keep repeating that process until I can't see any pink in the water coming out. Then I'll finally fill it up with that correct specification of fluid, that MB325.0. All right, so now that I've drained the coolant, I'm gonna refill it. I'm gonna start by adding this radiator flush and clean. I'm adding the whole bottle there. And then I'm going to add my first bottle of De-Mineralised water. Now straight away you can actually hear that gurgling as the air's coming out. So the trick is you just want to keep topping it up until all of that burping stops. Now I've continued to fill that reservoir with that demineralized water and it stopped burping now. So what we can do is we can come over to the top radiator hose here and we can just give that a squeeze. And what that's going to do is just help burp any air that's in that top radiator hose straight away. So now that that's stopped, I'm going to start the engine. Okay folks, so I've just jumped in the car and started the engine, and as part of the total flush procedure, what we want to do is turn the heater on full. And I've done that on both sides and just have it running on a fairly low fan, because what that's going to do is that's actually going to allow the water to circulate through the heater core as well as through the main radiator, and we need to do that as part of the total flush. So with the engine running, what we're going to do now is just monitor that level as the car continues to burp. We'll give it a bit of extra assistance on that top radiator hose as I showed you before. And as I do that, you can see the bubbles coming through the reservoir there. This air line across the top is another process by which it actually assists with that bleeding. So the level has dropped there a little bit already, so we're just going to top that up. Alright, so I've had the vehicle running for about 15 minutes now. You can see that all of the air has now come out and the coolant's up at the max fill level, so we're just going to pop the radiator cap back on, and then I'm going to take the vehicle for a drive for about 5 or 10 minutes. So therefore we'll have had the flush treatment in the radiator for about 20-25 minutes. Alright folks, I just got back from driving the vehicle with that first lot of demineralized water in the reservoir with the flushing solution. Ended up driving the vehicle for about 30 minutes with that in there. It says on the instructions somewhere between 20 minutes and 60 minutes. So I just let the vehicle cool down so it was safe, and now I'm just draining that again. As you can see, it's just really pink, so that's mixed with the couple of litres that were left in the engine. So I'm going to let all of this drain, and then I'm just going to repeat off camera several times until I actually drain it and actually see it clear coming out. Alright folks, so off camera I have repeated this process literally 5 or 6 times. I've lost count, in fact, of draining and refilling with demineralized water. Hopefully this is the last time. So let's pop on underneath. We'll take a sample and have a look what it looks like at the moment. Alright, so just under the vehicle, undoing that screw there, and starting to see that flow now. Yeah, that's looking a lot better. You can see it's got a faint tinge of pink, but it is looking really good now. So next fill is going to be the proper blue fluid, the MB320 5.0 coolant. Alright folks, so off camera I've just filled this with the proper blue coolant, the MB320 5.0 specification. I actually put about 4.5 litres of concentrate in, allowing for a total system capacity of 9 litres. I then topped it up with demineralized water. So the last thing to do will be a final bleed of the complete cooling system, and then to put this front underbelly tray on. But I'm actually going to leave this off for now, just for a couple of days, so I can check if there's any leaks from underneath the vehicle easily, just because I've been playing with the cooling system. So there you go folks, there's how to do a complete system flush of an ML class W164 Mercedes Benz. And as I said in the beginning, this is the first of a front to back series of videos that I'm planning to do. So if you have liked this video, or if you're interested in the future videos, do feel free to like, share and subscribe. Until next time, have a good evening.